Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit that subscribe button if you're new so you don't miss any of our great football content this season. All right. It's always weird doing the Sunday show after Thanksgiving because there's like 32 topics and nobody really cares about discussing Rams Panthers, do they?
No.
Not really. Listen, I think we've let's just address a massive college football story that you and I care about. So college football, what you saw Lane Kiffin do feels a little different now because of the college football playoff. You used to leave a program, and they were going to a bowl game. They weren't playing for a national championship. And I don't think Ole Miss was going to win a natty, but it wouldn't have shocked me with Lane Kiffin if they won 2 or 3 games and finished in the top 2 or 3. So it does feel a little gross. But big picture is if you think about, if you really think about what happened, the NCAA 4 or 5 years ago was rigid. And you went from that, the rigidity of the NCAA, to pure, unadulterated, HGH-infused capitalism. And there's no boundaries, and it's the wild, wild west. Just like the wild, wild west in the 1800s. You had territorial governors and you have commissioners of conferences, but everybody's in their own self-interest. And so, listen, this is Harbaugh to Michigan, Lane Kiffin to LSU. It's massive. It'll be controversial. It'll be great for the sport. And one of the little guys gets burned. I don't lose sleep on this stuff because I've been watching it my entire life, but wasn't this bound to happen if you hired Kiffin?
Yeah, I just think there's no easy way to leave a school anymore. I mean, these
Right.
schools now are paying $50 million for a guy to go away in the middle of October. So you have LSU out to poach your coach for the last month and a half. That's abnormal. These buyouts got so extreme. We're like, you and I kept saying, well, these guys are safe. Turns out they're not, and they're getting bought out
Right.
left and right. I also think part of the problem for Lane is he's a controversial and polarizing figure. And
Yeah.
he's really done a lot to change his image, right? The documentary that he did, you just look at him physically. What do you think he's lost?
Yeah.
30 pounds?
Just drinking. Yeah.
He's politically, he's talked a big game, how this place changed his life, gets him into the playoffs, and then leaves them for essentially their big brother, who I think
Yeah.
it's hard. I understand where their fans are mad, but like I understand both sides. I just think these things are ugly. It's pretty rare. Remember a couple years ago when Saban retired, right after the national championship game? And DeBoer just left Washington. And it was a pretty seamless, from Washington to Alabama because everyone was done. You're seeing, this cycle, all these. Penn State doesn't even have a coach. Now, we
Right.
can argue whether they're a top 10, 5. I don't know where they land, but they could easily steal a guy in the next couple days. And that could be weird. Who's to say that it's not a top 15 program that they steal a guy from? So it's a lot different in the NFL. Like you said, there are regulations, there are rules. The New York Giants can't steal Sean McVay. But LSU can steal Lane Kiffin. Well, honestly, it looked like kind of easily.
Well, yeah, and Rick Pitino noted this on social media. He said it's a calendar
Was that actually
issue.
Rick Pitino? I almost didn't even believe. I thought it was like a fake account. I didn't realize it was actually Rick.
Yeah, and he said it's a calendar issue. He goes, I wouldn't build my team to be a number 1 seed with a chance to win a national championship and, a day before the tournament, March Madness, bail. He said you couldn't do that. It's a calendar issue, and college football allows it. For years and years, I was on my radio show and TV show, John. I'm sure at least once you heard me say this. It's an $8 billion sport with no CEO. It was boxing. Like, of course, every boxer was out for itself, and every promoter, Bob Arum and Don King, ran boxing. The SEC commissioner ran the sport. And then you have ESPN and Fox saying, guys, it's an $8 billion industry. We're going to make this more like pro football. We're going to have like an AFC, an NFC, the SEC, and the Big Ten. So if you are a college football program and you hire Lane Kiffin and you don't understand the reality of your calendar and understanding this can happen, then you're naive. And I can feel for an Ole Miss fan, but this is a calendar issue. And I said last week, aggressive men, if Wall Street did not have a regulatory board, you would see, if you didn't have regulations at companies, if we didn't have an IRS, what do you think it would be like? for aggressive men in this country. They would be taking big swings and doing many things that felt skeevy and unethical. So until college football and the NCAA put up boundaries, I mean, we put up some boundaries in the portal. We put up some boundaries in NIL. There's no boundaries on coaches leaving. Football season's here, and if you want to go to an NFL or college football game, GameTime is the place for you. The GameTime app just gives you the advantage back to you, the fans. It's a hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps. I love it. Easy to use. The GameTime guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price, 100%. So they even let you preview your seat on the app. That's special. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay every time. Take the guesswork out of buying professional football tickets with GameTime. Just download the GameTime app, create an account. If you use the code Colin, COLIN, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code COLIN, $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the GameTime app today.
I think what people have a problem with, and it's mainly the Ole Miss fans, not like LSU fans care at all. They're ecstatic. Is that we have this team who, in theory, has a chance to win a national championship. I don't necessarily agree. They don't play any defense. But then this guy kind of plays us. Plays us would be strong, but as he says in his outgoing statement that the AD wouldn't let him coach. Well, yeah, Lane, no school worth their salt that has any respect. LSU, right. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas. It's very understandable why they wouldn't let you coach.
Right.
But then you steal Charlie Weiss's kid, who's with Lane, the offensive mastermind. Well, this is an offensive juggernaut as a program, right? Going into this playoffs. Right. Well, I remove Lane and I remove Charlie Weiss. If I could remove a little emotion and take a deep breath, I'd go, we have no chance in the playoffs, especially if we get a decent matchup, because they're going to get dropped in the playoffs. You are ruining our dream season. I mean, it's, in college more than the pros, right? A bad program in the NFL, if they get the right quarterback, the right coach, they can immediately be good.
Right.
The Rams were a clown show. They get McVay. Look at them the last 10 years, right? In college, you get the right coach, you got to strike while the iron's hot because that guy's probably going to leave. But now I think, fans would say, well, what the hell's the difference? We're paying these players. We're giving you money for the coaches. We're doing everything LSU tried to do, and we're kicking their ass every year. We beat Georgia last year. Why do you need to go? And I do think that's a fair argument that we're going to learn. Is there a big difference? And I know you said about, I think, Lane would probably agree with you. It's the defensive guys. Like, I can get the offensive guys to come. But for every Walter Nolan that I got last year, it's going to be very hit or miss. Where if I'm at LSU, if I'm at Georgia, if I'm at Ohio State, I could get 5 or 6 of those guys. Right. And then I think the other area that people have a hard time with is like Nick Saban. Nick, you fired Lane for causing problems inside your program. And it does feel very, and listen, I have a lot of respect for Jimmy Sexton, created this business from nothing and became what he became. It's not his fault that academia struggles with negotiating with these guys. And it's a one-sided fight. But it clearly feels where in the NFL, there's a lot of pushback. If you want to negotiate with Howie or you want to negotiate with the 49, it's not easy. And with these schools, it just seems like one couple guys have all this juice and are just playing puppet master within the in the sport. And that gets back to what you said. There's no rules. There's no regulations.
So Bob Arum and Don King take over the business.
They need a Dana White.
That's what's happened.
Because UFC passed them, right? Because they got a Dana White.
Right.
Well, I think we're still a while away from college football kind of having that structure, though, right? I mean, it doesn't feel like it's tomorrow coming in.
No. I mean, listen, if you look at pre-Kiffin, Matt Luke, Ed Orgeron, Houston Nutt, Hugh Freeze cheated like a you-know-what. The bottom line, it was a losing, irrelevant program. Totally. If they knew Kiffin was going to burn them, if they knew it going in that he was going to do this, they'd still take 55-19 relevance and the number one scoring offense in the country by a wide margin. They would have signed up for it today. So I don't have any. Their last SEC title is 1963. It's an irrelevant program. And Lane, I watched 4 Ole Miss games the last 4 this year, 4 last year. I mean, maybe I'd watch the Egg Bowl every year for a half. I'm sorry, you were an irrelevant program. Hugh Freeze cheated to make you sort of interesting. But Nick Saban said he stopped recruiting his last couple of years at in Mississippi because Hugh Freeze was cheating so bad. Players were getting paid at the end near signing day, and they were losing them. So, I mean, you would have signed up for 55-19 when you had the coaching opening if you knew he was. If I said number one offense, top 5 program, 55-19, he'll bail on you. You'd have signed up for it.
You know, you used to have that statement that the thing that makes smart men dumb are women and money. And I think the hard part is for the program is that this not really money, right? Ole Miss was paying him 10 million. They were willing to pay him 14. It's
Right.
almost a revelation from Lane and his belief that your program simply isn't as good as LSU, right? And I think that hurts. And that's where you're getting it really like you're in the playoffs, but big picture, I'm the reason. And historically in college, basketball and football, you lose the coach, you're in major trouble. Like the guy that's replacing him. I remember when he was the defensive coordinator at Alabama, it was not going well as defensive coordinator. And clearly they were in a desperate situation. But I think over the next couple years, relative to what they've been, if Ole Miss was a stock, you'd probably short them, and you would probably buy stock in LSU the next couple years, right?
Yeah.